And now the quick sort. Quick sort is where we pick a pivot value and then split the lists and look at values on either side of that and get everything left of the pivot value smaller than it and everything right larger than it, and we keep doing that. So how do we do that? Pseudocode. Make sure the list isn't small. If it is, we just return it. Then we look at this left index and the right index. If they meet, then we're done. So we choose the very first position as a pivot. It's arbitrary, but this is the algorithm we're going to use. The left index is then the next position after the pivot, and the right index is the last position. So our pass is complete when we keep looking, we increment the left index. We look at the value. Is it greater than the pivot? Nope. We keep increasing until we find one that is not greater than pivot. And then we decrement the right side until it comes down. If we find any value that's lower than the pivot or lower than the left index value. Location. So then if our left index, after we've gone this pass, is still or is greater than or equal to the right index, which you should never pass it, just maybe be equal to it, then our pass is complete. We've gone all the way through and there's nothing to swap. If we marched both indexes and they came and they met in the middle, the pass is complete. If not, then we found two values that need to be swapped. So we swap the left index with the right index in place. Again, we're trying to move the numbers lower on one side and higher on the other side. So then we will go and we will repeat that process, that pass, until our pass is complete, until we find the left index and the right index have met. When we do that, then we go up, and then after you complete that pass, you swap the pivot. So remember, our pivot's in our first location. We remember where it should be, and then we swap the pivot to put it where it should be. And then we keep doing that whole process over again, pass by pass, until the left is equal to the right, and we're done. So what exactly does that look like? Here's a quick sort. Here's a list we have. We're going to choose the first position, 8 is our pivot. We're marching down. On the right side, hey, 5 is less, and the left side, 10 is greater. Then we're going to swap those two. And then we're going to keep on looking. 6, 1. 1 is less than it. All the other numbers to the left are equal to or less than, so we're going to get to the end of our pass, swap the pivot out of the first position and put it to the place it needs to be. And then the next time, we're going to choose pivot of 1. Everything is greater than 1, so it's all in the right place. So choose the next pivot, pivot of 3. We find that 2 should be left of that. We go over through. So then we swap, and we put 2 at the beginning of the list. And then we swap 3 into its location. And that's fine. Okay, now we're looking through all that, and we choose pivot of, so now the 3 and the 5 are all done. We choose pivot of 6. Everything's all arranged, so we're good. So here's the code. Quick sort. There's our test list. So the resultant list is when we call the algorithm quick sort with our list and our beginning and our end point. Again, if the list is less than or equal to 1, we have a trivial list and we're done. So while first is less than the last position, we find the pivot and then we sort the low from the left and then from the right. And then how does that look? So we go into the code. We have the pivot as the first position. The left index is the next one up. Right index is the last position. Then we keep on. Here's where we increment that left index until we find its stop point, and the right index till we find its stop point. If at that point they have met, we're done. If not, then we swap the positions. When we're done with that pass, we take, because remember our pivot was in the first position, we swap it into the location it should be. So here's our output. First position, 8. We choose 8 as our pivot. We go through that list and we see that 8 gets swapped out to the position. So everything to the left of 8 is equal to or less than it, and everything to the right is greater. Then we choose 1 as a pivot. Everything to the right of 1 is greater, so that's fine. Then we choose 3 as our pivot. And only thing that happens in that is we end up moving the 2 down below, so it's less. And we do that swap. And then it chooses 6 as a pivot because we have to move the 5 down below it. And it makes that swap, and we are complete. And we have done quick.